Imagine getting a raise you've dreamed about. Your paycheck suddenly gets bigger. You promise yourself that this time you'll finally save more, invest more, and stop worrying about money. For a few months, everything feels different. Then something strange happens. The extra money disappears. Your bank account looks almost the same as before, and somehow you still feel broke. If this sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. It's one of the most common financial patterns in America, and it has very little to do with how much you earn. Many people believe that earning more automatically leads to building wealth. It seems logical. If more money comes in, more money should stay. But reality tells a different story. Across different income levels, millions of households report feeling financially stressed. Some struggle while earning $40,000 a year. Others report the same stress while earning well over $100,000. The number changes, but the feeling often doesn't. The hidden reason is that income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is money that flows into your life. Wealth is what stays after your spending. Taxes, debt payments, and lifestyle choices. Imagine two buckets. One bucket receives water from a large pipe, but it has several holes in the bottom. The second bucket receives less water but has almost no leaks. Over time, the second bucket fills up while the first never does. Higher income without controlling the leak simply means more water flowing through. Psychologists have a name for part of this pattern. It's called hedonic adaptation. Human beings quickly become used to improvements. The new apartment that once felt luxurious soon becomes normal. The upgraded phone that excited you for weeks becomes just another device. The salary increase that seemed life-changing slowly feels ordinary. Our expectations rise almost as fast as our income. This isn't a personal weakness. It's how the human brain evolved. Our ancestors survived by constantly adapting to their environment. Satisfaction was temporary because staying alert helped them survive. In today's economy, that same mental shortcut can quietly encourage endless spending. What once felt like a luxury soon feels like a necessity. Now picture what often happens after someone gets a raise. Maybe they move into a nicer neighborhood. Rent increases. They buy a newer car because the monthly payment now seems manageable. They subscribe to more streaming services, eat out more often, travel more frequently, and upgrade furniture that worked perfectly fine before. None of these decisions seem unreasonable on their own. Together, they create something economists call lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is one of the biggest invisible expenses in modern personal finance. As income rises, spending often rises right alongside it. The result is that financial stress remains surprisingly constant. The person earning twice as much may simply have twice as many monthly obligations. Banks, advertisers, and businesses understand this behavior remarkably well. Modern consumer economies depend on people continuing to spend. Marketing rarely says, "You need this product." Instead, it suggests something much more powerful. It whispers, "This is the kind of person you could become." People aren't only buying products. They're often buying identities, convenience, comfort, or status. Credit makes this process even easier. Decades ago, buying something expensive usually required saving first. Today, many purchases happen instantly while payment stretches into the future. Credit cards, buy now pay later services, and financing options reduce the immediate pain of spending. Behavioral economists have found that people often spend more when they don't physically hand over cash because the emotional connection to the purchase becomes weaker. That doesn't mean credit itself is bad. Credit can be an extremely useful financial tool when managed responsibly. It helps build credit history, provides fraud protection, and offers flexibility during emergencies. The problem begins when borrowed money quietly becomes part of everyday lifestyle instead of a carefully managed resource. History provides an interesting perspective. After World War II, rising incomes helped create a growing middle class across the United States. Home ownership expanded, consumer goods became more available, and living standards improved dramatically. These were real economic gains. But over the decades, consumer credit also became increasingly accessible. Spending became easier than ever before. As choices multiplied, so did opportunities to spend every additional dollar. Another hidden force works against higher earners: taxes and inflation. Imagine receiving a 10% raise. Depending on your tax situation, you won't keep the entire increase. Then inflation quietly reduces purchasing power over time. If prices rise while your lifestyle expands, the actual improvement in your financial position may be much smaller than it first appears. Inflation deserves special attention because it's one of the least visible financial forces. Most prices don't suddenly double overnight. Instead, they gradually creep upward year after year. Groceries cost a little more. Insurance premiums rise. Restaurant meals become slightly more expensive. Streaming subscriptions quietly increase. Individually, these changes seem small. Collectively, they reshape household budgets. This is one reason why simply earning more rarely feels as rewarding as expected. Part of the increase disappears through taxes. Part disappears through higher prices. Another part disappears through lifestyle inflation. Before long, the extra income has been completely absorbed. There's another psychological trap called social comparison. Humans naturally compare themselves with people around them. Years ago, this mostly meant neighbors or co-workers. Today, social media expands that comparison to millions of carefully edited lives. Someone always appears to own a bigger home, drive a newer car, take better vacations, or retire earlier. The problem is that comparisons rarely include debt, financial stress, or savings rates. You might compare your ordinary Tuesday with someone else's highlight reel. That comparison can quietly pressure people into spending money they never intended to spend. Research consistently shows that after basic needs and reasonable comfort are met, happiness becomes influenced less by absolute income and more by expectations and comparisons. This explains why two families earning similar incomes can feel completely different about their finances. One measures success by growing investments and financial security. The other measures success by keeping up with constantly changing lifestyles. So what separates people who steadily build wealth from those who always feel behind? One important difference is that wealthy habits often remain invisible. Society notices expensive cars far more than automatic investment contributions. Nobody compliments someone for increasing their retirement savings by 5%. Yet those quiet financial decisions usually have a much greater long-term impact. This is where compound growth enters the picture. Compound interest allows investments to generate returns. And then those returns begin generating returns of their own. Time becomes your greatest financial partner. Every dollar invested today has more opportunities to grow than a dollar invested years later. Imagine two workers receiving identical raises. The first immediately increases monthly spending by the full amount. The second automatically directs half of every raise into retirement, accounts or diversified investments before adjusting lifestyle. Both enjoy higher incomes, but after many years their financial futures can look dramatically different. Notice something important here. The second person isn't necessarily sacrificing happiness. They're simply delaying part of today's consumption to create greater flexibility tomorrow. Financial freedom isn't only about having more money. It's about having more choices. Emergency savings work the same way. Many people see cash sitting in a savings account as money that's doing nothing. In reality, it's purchasing peace of mind. It reduces the need for expensive debt during emergencies. It allows people to make career decisions with less fear. It creates options when unexpected opportunities appear. Another powerful habit is increasing savings every time income rises, instead of increasing spending by the same amount. Even saving a portion of each raise can produce meaningful long-term results without feeling like a major sacrifice, because you're adjusting before becoming emotionally attached to the higher paycheck. The habit often feels surprisingly easy. This approach also protects against something many people overlook: income uncertainty. Careers change. Industries evolve. Economic recessions happen. People who build financial cushions often recover more comfortably because their lifestyles don't depend on spending every dollar they earn. Perhaps the biggest mindset shift is redefining what it means to be rich. Society often associates wealth with visible consumption. But true financial strength usually appears much quieter. It looks like low debt, consistent investing, emergency savings, manageable expenses, and the ability to make decisions without constant financial pressure. Ironically, some of the wealthiest people don't appear especially wealthy at all. They understand that every dollar spent today is also a dollar that cannot continue working for them tomorrow. That doesn't mean never enjoying life. It simply means spending intentionally rather than automatically. The next time your income increases, ask yourself one simple question before changing your lifestyle. Is this purchase improving my life, or is it simply matching my new paycheck? That single pause can interrupt a pattern that quietly affects millions of people. Feeling broke despite earning more isn't always a sign that you're failing. Often, it's the result of powerful psychological habits, invisible economic forces, and financial systems designed to encourage spending. Once you recognize those forces, you can start making choices that move your money toward lasting security instead of temporary upgrades. Because in the end, building wealth isn't about how much money passes through your hands. It's about how much stays with you, grows over time, and quietly buys something far more valuable than expensive possessions: freedom.